Sangeet, start.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Good morning to one and all present here. Myself, Sanket Gautam, and I'm presently pursuing my BTech in Civil Engineering from Dialogue Education Institute, Agra. So we have made this our major project on the topic rainwater harvesting for DI, the design and analysis of underground RCC water tanks. So we have taken this topic as our major project because of main two reasons. Can you please turn the next slide? Yes. So you can see the major reasons of opting this project is the water scarcity scenarios that is happening around our area. And the reason of this scarcity is due to rapid urbanization and improper management of natural resources. Now, what is this problem is creating? This is creating the lack of availability of water for common purposes. People are not getting enough water for their household purposes and their general works. And that's because of that, the conservation of water is necessary. And that's why we have opted this project. Now, the reason why which we are giving so much importance to the harvesting of rainwater is that only 3% of the water on the earth is fresh water and only 0.5 is available for drinking. And if we look at the quantity of rainwater that is coming to the ground is very much high, but the utilization of that rainwater is very much low. And because of that, we have totally focused on the rainwater to properly conserve it and preserve it for future uses in time. The basic way is to collect the water, conserve it, and when in the need of scarcity, that we can say off season, that is not the monsoon season, we will use that water for our purposes. Next slide, please. Yes. So this is the basic outlook of our project. That how what are the steps that are involved in this project, and the basic and the foremost step of our project is the doing the surveying of the university. So our major project is totally based on our college, the Alwag Education Institute, and we have done the project by the starting of the surveying of this project. Next slide, please. Yes. So for doing the surveying of our university, we have used Trimble M3 DR series total station. This is a total station which is used to measure horizontal distances, vertical distances, and the horizontal angles and vertical angles and distances. And by using this total station, we have taken points of the boundaries of buildings. For example, if firstly we have done the engineering faculty, and for plotting the engineering building, we have taken the corner points of every building, and by using and by extracting the data from the total station in the form of DXF, we have plotted it in the AutoCAD. This is done. We have done for the for the boundaries of the buildings. But our main project is to look at the rainwater. So for that, we have done contouring, and we have done it by dividing the part of the university in many parts and drawing contouring of it by using the softwares like Surfer. Further, why are we doing this contouring? We are doing this contouring to know the location of accumulation of water, to know in a particular defined area, for example, our faculty of engineering, where all the water is coming, and based on that, we can next plan our next step in order to conserve and preserve the water. So next procedure, next slide. Yes. Now, as I mentioned that the rainwater is our total major focus. For that, we should know what is the amount of precipitation that is coming in the in any defined area. For our case, it is our college. So for that, we have collected the data of 20 years from 1998 to 2018, and we have taken the maximum precipitation, that is 15.7 mm on 26th of July. After collecting the data, we have found that on 26th of July, the maximum precipitation is coming out to 15.7. And by taking this data, the 15.7, we have calculated all other factors which are required to calculate the amount of rainwater that is coming in order to design our future steps. So you can see that for the design of RCC tank, which my friends would explain after some time, we should know the effective rainfall value. What is the effective rainfall value? Effective rainfall is the value that is directly coming to the tanks that we are planning to design. Now, for effective rainfall, finding the effective rainfall, we should know the losses. As we know that rainwater is coming, so all the precipitation that is coming to the ground is not going to collect. There should be some losses, and though there are two main losses, which are interception and infiltration losses. Now, if I talk about the interception losses are the losses for example, precipitation is coming on any surface like building or grassland, then it is when the water is intercepted by that surface, then we can say it is intercepted losses. It will intercepted by the we can say the buildings of grasslands, or it will again get evaporated. So it is called interception losses. And similarly, we have infiltration losses, which means that the water is going into the ground by the process of infiltration. Now, for the values we have taken for interception losses is 0.5 mm for grassy lands, and for buildings and roads, we have taken the 6% of the maximum value. For the infiltration losses, we have not calculated it directly. We have calculated it by using the Horton's infiltration equation. That is the equation that is involved is Fc is equals to Fc plus F naught minus Fc e to power minus kht. Now, what the Horton's infiltration equation has done, it has told us the infiltration losses. Next slide, please. Yes, so now we come to an case of total losses, that is from grassy lands. From grassy lands, we are assuming interception and infiltration losses, because on the grassy lands, both the losses will come into play. But if we look at the building and roads, then we can say that only interception losses will be considered, as there will be no infiltration in case of buildings and roads. No water is going to go, no infiltration process will take in case of buildings and roads. And because of that, we have taken only the interception losses. And because of that, we have taken, so LG is the total losses that is come from the grassy lands, and we can say the for buildings and roads, LR is equal to 0.942 mm is the losses that is coming from the buildings and roads. Next slide, please. Now we have come to an agreement that effective rainfall calculation, that this is the final values of effective rainfall calculation for grassy lands and for building and paved road. These are the values. Now, how we are going to use this value to get the we can say the volume of water. Now we have the area, defined area. For in our case, it is the faculty of engineering or other faculties. Now what we are doing, we are calculating the area by this effective rainfall, and then we are going to calculate the volume of water that is going out into the tanks. And for that, my friends would explain the procedure. What would be the procedure of designing the tanks up based upon the results we get from the effective rainfall. Over to you, Gaurav.
Gaurav, you are not audible.
Sorry, sir. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gaurav Verma, and currently I am pursuing BTech Civil Engineering from Dayalbagh Educational Institute, Dayalbagh, Agra. So, what we are going to discuss ahead, let's have a look at it one by one. So, first we are going to talk about a short animated overview of our project. Second thing, the contours and 3D surface map that we have basically used in our project. Third thing is determining the location of tanks, that how we have located the tanks using these contours and 3D surface maps of our fields. Fourth thing is design of underground RCC water tank, number 1, using IS3370. The tank 1 is basically located in the engineering faculty. And the fifth thing is dimensions of all the tanks, or we can say the details of all the tanks that we have designed through. Okay, so let's start the discussion. So basically I've created a short animated overview that how we have completed our project from beginning to the design of the tank. So let's have a look at it, and I hope that you guys will enjoy this. Okay, so let's start. So the building that is shown over here, let us suppose that this is our engineering faculty from where we have started our surveying project. So for surveying, we first started our surveying for the building plotting, road plotting, and the boundary plotting of our whole university. So for building plotting, we have started doing surveying from the corner points, or we have taken the corner points of the buildings. Okay, so the major measurements have been done first for buildings. uh, I've used a tape here, but that doesn't mean that we have done the measurements using tape. We have done the measurements using total station, but since in presentation or in PPT, a total station was not there, so I've used this for purpose of measurement showing. Then after the building measurement have been done, the road measurements will be completed, something like this. Okay. Then after completing our surveying work, after completing our surveying work, the next step is to the plotting the map work using the AutoCAD. Using the AutoCAD software, we have done the map plotting. Then the map, after map plotting work has been done, we have to do the contour of the fields that has been divided. So the engineering faculty has been divided in 7 parts that we look after. The contour lines has been drawn using Surface software, as you can see over here. So this is the contour line for plot 1 of engineering faculty. This is the north direction. This shows. So these are the numbers. These are the numbers, and which are basically from a reference benchmark. The benchmark that we have used is in front of our transportation engineering lab. So the distance between these two, the contour interval that we have used using in drawing these contour lines is 0.1 meter. Now, what is contour interval? The contour interval is nothing but the vertical distance between any two contours. So suppose this is the 99.3 meter. This point is 99.3 meter above our benchmark. So this point is 99.4 meter, means the distance between the vertical distance between these 2 points is 0.1 meter. So this is the basic meaning of contour interval. Now, how we have used these contour lines and this 3D surface map for the location or of our tanks. So from the 3D map, we can easily infer that the water will drain off when rainfall starts. The water will drain off from this particular point, from this left corner of the tank, and will drain off to the right corner of the tank. So this is how we have located the location of the tanks in the engineering faculty. Okay, so this is the plot of our engineering faculty as shown over here. So we have divided the engineering faculty in 7 parts. So first strip is from this right corner in front of engineering main building and in front of electrical lab. The second part or the second strip of the divided portion is behind the electrical lab. Third portion is from engineering library extension to the agriculture field and covering the whole back area of engineering main building. Fourth portion is this road behind the engineering library extension, and fifth portion is this field besides the engineering workshop. Sixth portion is the main road of engineering faculty, and finally the seventh portion is this portion, last portion of engineering faculty besides the engineering workshop. So now how we have located the location of tanks. So tank one is basically located over here besides the electrical lab in plot number 2 or in strip number 2, and tank 2 is located over here in plot number 5. The question is how we have located these tanks. So suppose the rainwater falls. When rain falls, the water will start draining over the ground. Now, what is the location of the final draining of this water that we have find out using the 3D surface map. So for plot 1, suppose if we are talking, for plot 1, this red arrow will show that how water will flow from one point to the other point. So we can show, or we can infer that from the 3D surface maps, that for plot number 1 or strip number 1, the water will flow from right corner to the left corner, something like this, towards the structural analysis lab. Similarly, for plot number 2, the water will flow from backside of geotechnical lab to the towards the backside of electrical lab, and will draining off to this location where we have locate our tank number 1. So this is how we have locate our tank number 1, and for tank number 2, these blue color arrows show that how water will flow towards the location of tank number 2. So from plot number 4, the water will start draining off towards the plot number 5, and finally towards the location of the tank number 2. Okay, so these two tanks have been located in the engineering faculty. Rest three tanks have been located in the technical faculty. Why? Because from the portion 3, 6 and 7, the water will be draining towards the technical field only, and then nothing will be accumulated in the engineering faculty. So for those three tanks we have designed in the technical faculty. So this is all about how we have designed the location, or how we have determined the location of these two tanks, tank number 1 and finally tank number 2. Okay, so after determining the location of the tanks, we have again gone to the field. Me and my friends gone to the field and collected the soil samples. Now, after collecting the soil samples, the following tests has been done in the laboratory. First is bulk density of soil. Second one is water content of soil. Third one is specific gravity of soil. Fourth one is angle of internal friction of soil using dry shear apparatus. And finally, fifth one is infiltration capacity of soil using single ring infiltrometer. So after the test has been done, we have to design our tank. So here I'm going to represent the underground RCC water tank number 1 design, which has been located in engineering faculty. So let's start with the design. So first step is to find out the volume of water drained off to the tank 1. That means the volume of water that is being collected in the tank number 1. So this is the table that shows how we have calculated the volume, the total volume of water. Okay, so this the first column is serial number. Second is type of surface. Type of surface means it may be the type of building, it may be the paved road, or it may be the grassy land. Then area of the surfaces, effective rainfall depth that we have calculated using Horton's infiltration curve, and the Horton's infiltration curve has been made using the infiltration capacity of soil, and finally the volume of water that has been drained off from these particular surfaces. So first let us talk about this grassy land. So this grassy land of plot number 1 plus plot number 2 will be 5101 meter square. So it is not including the paved road. For paved road, we have doing the calculation separately. Then effective rainfall depth for grassy lands is 0.00146 meter. Then multiplying these two quantities, we'll get the volume of water that is basically draining off from the grassy lands towards the location of tank number 1. Then for paved roads, the area is coming out to be 780 meters square, and effective rainfall depth from paved roads is 0.01476. So when comparing these two values, we can easily infer that effective rainfall depth from paved roads is about 10 times to that of grassy lands. So this is the volume of water collected from the paved roads. Similarly, from buildings, we have electrical lab building, structural analysis lab, geotechnical lab, and engineering main building. So the area coming over these buildings are shown over here, and effective rainfall depth is same as that of paved roads. And multiplying these quantities, we'll get the volume of water in meter cube. Summing up all these quantities, we'll get the total quantity of water that will be accumulated or that will be drained off to the location of the tank 1. Now, based on these dimensions, based on the volume of water collected, we have assumed the dimensions of the tanks as length 6 meter, breadth 4 meter, and internal height will be equals to 2.5 meter. These dimensions are internal dimensions. These we have assumed, and we are going to carry out our design on these dimensions only. The second step is the property of soil, concrete, and steel that we are going to use. So concrete that we have used is M30 grade, structural steel is Fe415 grade, gamma saturated means saturated unit weight of soil is 17.1798 kilonewton per meter cube. Then internal friction, angle of internal friction of soil is 35 degrees, and gamma W, that means dry unit weight of water is 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, the next step, so in designing the underground RCC water tank, we have two general conditions. The first condition is when tank is empty, that means there is no water, but it is with full earth pressure due to the saturated earth fill. The second condition is tank full with water with no earth fill outside. So let's design the tank one by one using these two conditions separately. So first let us talk about the design for condition number 1. The following steps should be followed when we are going to design our tank using condition number 1. Okay. So first we have to calculate the earth pressure. Earth pressure can be easily inferred using active earth pressure coefficient. Then second step is to find out the fixed end moments. So fixed end moments we have find out using some structural analysis concepts. Then third step is the design of long walls. Fourth step is the design of short walls. And finally the design for bottom h minus h height that has been designed as a cantilever wall. Okay, the next step is for design for the condition number 2. The following steps should be followed for designing on the behalf of condition number 2 are first, instead of earth pressure we have to calculate here water pressure. The second step remains same, that is fixed end movements. Third step, design of long walls, and finally fourth step is the design of short walls. Then design of top slab will be our first will be our fifth step. So in design of top slab, the first step is the load calculation. The second step is the effective span calculation. So effective span calculation has been calculated using formula that has been given in IS code 456-2000. Then bending moment calculation. Bending moment calculation has been done using bending moment coefficients alpha x and alpha y that has been given in IS 456 itself. And then reinforcement along LX. So LX is nothing but the shorter span of the slab, and the reinforcement along LY. LY is nothing but the longer span of the slab. So the most of the top slab that we have designed are usually two-way slabs. The sixth step is the design of bottom slab. So the following steps should be followed while designing the bottom slab. First is the check for flotation of the tank. So for flotation check, we have to find out the factor of safety. Now, factor of safety is nothing but will be equals to downward pressure divided by the upward pressure. The downward pressure comprises of the total weight of the tank and the weight of the water that will be filled in the tank, and the upward pressure will be the soil pressure that has been exerted from the soil to the bottom of the bottom slab. If the factor of safety is coming out to be lesser than 1, then we have to provide the projection all around the bottom of the tank that will show later in the coming slides. And then the second step is to check for thickness. Fourth step is the cantilever movement at the face of wall. And then the next step is design for middle portion, and final step is the distribution reinforcement calculation. Okay, so this is the reinforcement detailing of tank 1 that we have designed. So this is the plan of tank 1 at 1.5 meter depth. 1.5 meter depth, we can easily infer that the length of the tank is 6 meter, width of the tank is 4 meter, and these are the reinforcement detailing. The thickness of walls that has been designed is 250 mm for both long wall as well as short wall. Now this is the section at XX. XX means this section in longitudinal direction. This is the top slab where the reinforcement has been given of 10 mm diameter at 190 mm center to center spacing. Okay, so now the thickness of top slab that has been coming out is 150 mm, and this is the 300 mm projection at the bottom of the tank that I was talking about. This is the section at YY. So reinforcement detailing has been shown over here. Okay, so these are the details of all the tanks. Since the design of all the tanks is too lengthy, that's why it is impossible for me to cover the whole tank design in these slides. So here is a table which basically shows the design of all the tanks. So this shows the tank number, the length of the tank. For tank number 1 it is 6 meter, and for tank number 3 it is the longest tank, the 10-meter length. Then this column shows the width of the tanks, this column shows height of the tanks. These are the thickness of walls, both long walls as well as short walls, the thickness of top slab, and finally we have thickness of bottom slab. Now what kind of IS codes we have used? So IS code 456 2000, SP16, and finally IS 3370. These three codes we have used in the design of our RCC tank. So thank you so much for your attention. Aditya Kumar Mehta will take the lead next.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Aditya Kumar. Presently, I am pursuing my civil engineering from Diyalbagh Educational Institute, Agra. Sir, similar to engineering, take the points from total station and map, draw the map of technical, and after that, draw the contour lines and 3D map using surface testing software. After observing, sir, all the 3D maps and 3D maps where the water is drained, which side to which side, decide the location of the tank, sir. In technical, there are three three water tanks. One is near the UC building, and second one is near the works department, and third one is near the technical park. And in next slide, sir, all all the 3D maps and contour lines of each plot. Yes, go to the next slide. Yes, sir, this is plot 2, plot 3, plot 4, plot 5, plot 6, plot 7, and sir, we divide the whole technical campus in eight parts, sir. And these are the 8 contour lines and 3D maps of 8 plots. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Karthikeya Gautam. I am currently pursuing BTech final year from Diyalbagh Education Institute. My topic is I have to indicate my topic in various tests on soil. The first test is the water content on soil. So in water content of soil, we first have to collect the sample, and we have to weight the empty container and name it as W1. In the step, we have to take the combined weight of the moist soil along with the container and weigh that W2. And we have to place the moist sample along with the container in the oven for about 24 hours at a temperature of about 105 to 1110 degrees Celsius. After 24 hours, we have to take the sample. We have to weigh the container along with the dried soil as name it as W3. Now we can calculate the water content as you can see the formula is mentioned as W3 minus W3 minus W1 over of upon W3 minus W1. Next, this is the bulk density of soil using core cutter apparatus. A core cutter is a apparatus of having a volume about 1000 centimeter cube. And we have to first take our core cutter to the site, and we have to dig this sample such that it protrudes of about 2 to 2 mm above the soil sample. With the help of the hammer, we have to protrude this dolly over the sample. After this core cutter is completely filled with soil, we have to take it out and measure the weight of the soil along with the core cutter. And first we have measured the weight without the soil and name it as W1. The final weight is W2, and hence the bulk density is calculated as W2 minus W1 upon we know the volume of this core cutter as 1000 centimeter cube. Next, this is the infiltration capacity test which we have performed using single ring infiltrometer. Actually, this apparatus single ring infiltrometer is not available with us in the laboratory, so we have take a metal casing, open at both ends, and used it as a replacement of the actual apparatus. So we have take it to the site, dig this apparatus into the soil, up, and we have mentioned some markings with the help of scale and sketch pen in the inner side of the metal casing, and fill this metal casing completely filled with water. And as this is completely filled with water, we start the stopwatch and note the time up to the level when water infiltrates and comes to the next level marking, and this time is noted. Correspondingly, same we have to perform the same thing again and again up to a certain depth. Next page. The specific gravity of the soil is measured using a 50 ml density bottle. In this, first we take a empty bottle of mass M1, having its mass M1, and then we put a dried soil. Oven dried soil is used in this case, and weigh the bottle along with the dried soil as M2. In third case, we pour the water in the dried soil, and the weight of all three is taken as W3. While pouring some water over the dried soil, we have to look that we have to remove the air from the sample. And in the last step, we have to fill the container completely with water and weight it as M4. Next. Similarly, the steps are written in this page, and hence finally we can calculate the specific gravity. Next page. As G is equals to M2 minus M1 over M4 minus M1 minus M3 minus M2. Next. So this is the calculations of various tests that we have conducted at the site, and here's the calculation. This is the calculation of only the site one, as it is not possible to show the calculation of all the 5 sites. Similar, all the tests are performed that I have mentioned at all the 5 sites. Go to turn the page. So this is the calculation of dry unit weight using core cutter. First we have calculated bulk density, and then with the formula of gamma T is equals to gamma T over 1 plus W, as we have already calculated the water content, we find the dry density. Next, this is the specific gravity of the soil, the test that I have mentioned. With we have measured the mass of all the samples M1, M2, M3, M4. We can calculate the specific gravity of the soil. Next, this is the saturated unit weight of the soil that we have calculated. This is void ratio is calculated using it, and finally the gamma saturated is calculated. Next, so this is the table that we have actually we have to calculate the angle of internal friction using dry shear test, but we don't have the dry shear apparatus for which we can perform it. So we have interpolated the values of the bulk unit weight that we have already calculated with this results, and hence we calculate the angle of internal friction, which is used in the designing of the tanks. Next, this is all the results of the test of all the 5 sites, including the water content, bulk unit weight, dry unit weight, specific gravity, saturated unit weight, and hence the angle of the internal friction. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aman Singhal. I'm pursuing my BTech in Civil Engineering from the Albag Education Institute. So in this, I am describing and discuss about the analysis of our underground tank by using the software named StatPro. So in this StatPro is a software. StatPro is a software in which we have to is a good software in which we have to detailing of and analysis of different structure RCC and the steel structure. So after the designing of the tank by the IS 3370, we have to analysis our tank in a StatPro. So in this, first of all, we get a dimensions of our different tanks by the using designing of that tank, and after so in this we have to put our dimensions in the StatPro. Just like the some steps, just like first we go to a menu option, and after that we go to geometry option. In this we have to select the option run structure wizard, and after that we have a go to the model type. In this model type we have to select the surface model. In a surface model we select a quad plate. In a quad plate we have a different coordinates, different dimension according to that xyz coordinate. We have to put all the value, and in this we have to divide our plates, our grid form in different patterns and different sizes. So we get by this we get our tank, our dimensions and our tank. Next slide. So after that, after we got a tank, and then we have to define the thickness of that plate. So our five tanks, we have a different thickness. So according to in a bottom slab, we have a 0.3 meter thickness. In our top slab, we have a 0.15 meter thickness. So according to that, we jotted down in this node 1, node 3, node 4, node 5. So in this, we have to put the values in this form and assign, so we got a proper thickness of that plate. Next slide. So after that, after the thickness, after defining the thickness, we got a underground tank in which we don't have any loads, but it is a tank, simple tank. Change. After that, we have to define the support condition of that underground tank. So in a bottom of that underground tank, we have a soil. So in this, we have to use the support condition as a foundation, as a foundation. So in this, the some steps is we go first to command, then after that we support specification, then fixed support. In which after that we have to select the foundation. Next slide. And in a foundation we have to choose the elastic mat in y direction. Then after in our university we have a soil type is a sandy loam. So in this by using some codes, we got a bearing capacity of that sandy loam soil is 140 kilonewton per meter square. But in our analysis we need a subgrade modulus. So it is an empirical formula that subgrade modulus is equal of the soil is 120 times of that bearing capacity. So we have simply put that multiplication, and we got a subgrade modulus of that soil, and we assign that to support, and we got a support condition of that foundation, our tank. Next slide. Then after that we defining the load, because load is very important and it is a main analysis of that tank, and in which we have to check the failure and our tank is safe or not. So in this we have to first of all, our first load is a dead load. A dead load is a something is our weight of that underground tank. So and after that is a second is a water pressure load. In a water pressure load we have a two loads. In this first is UDL, because first is UDL, and the second one is a triangular loading, and third one is a soil pressure, because around the underground tank we have a soil. So in which this soil pressure is we have calculated by using a some tests which we done earlier, just like a soil pressure. We have a K value, a coefficient. So in which we got a soil pressure at bottom and top. So according to this, we put a load on our analysis, and after that we all the loads are imposed on our structure, in our structure. Second, next. And after that the important also that material of that tank, so in which we are defining the material of tank by simple step. We go to the general option, and after that material, so we have to take the material is concrete, so we assign that concrete material. And we also put the FCK value of that concrete, FCK value of that concrete, just like in our analysis we take the 30 newton per mm square. So we put that value, and also we also assign the value of steel Fy, which we are using in our designing of that tank. So this all property are assigned in that option. Step 7. Oh, this run the analysis of that model tank. In which this is a final step of our analysis, in which we have to analysis our tank by the first. We go to analysis, run analysis, go to the post processing mode, in which we got our analysis is complete. After that we have to think, and we have to see the different change. We have to obtain the different stress control by different load condition. Just like we have got a different soil pressure, and the stress type is maximum absolute. We also change that stress type of bending. We also take that bending stresses, shear stresses. So these stresses, we all the stresses are obtained from that different load conditions, so by which we have to check the safety of our tank. Next slide. So this is a result of that tank 1. Next. And this is a bottom slab result. And next. And this is all, and the further detail are described by friend Pranshu Gautam.
Good afternoon, all. This is Priyanshu Gautam, and I am pursuing my BTech in Civil Engineering from the Dayal Bagh Educational Institute. So after Aman, I am taking lead to explain the results of all the tanks which we have designed in the StatPro software. So here, for checking the results, we need to know the plate stresses of each side of the tanks. So what is plate stresses? So plate stresses refers to the bending of the plates due to the application of loads, which we applied on the plates, which results in the deflection of plates. So now the stress in the plates, which we can calculate from this deflection, which are occur by the application of loads. So the diagrams here is shown, tells about the max absolute of each side of the plate. So if we what max absolute here is, what it is the combination. It is basically the combination of the principal stress. The principal stress is the membrane stress and the bending stress. So we use max absolute here to describe whether the what is the value of max absolute in each part of the plate of the tank. So here we can see that the different colors are describing the different value of the max absolute. So here we can see at the edges of bottom slab, we can see there is the maximum value of max absolute, and in other parts it is comparatively low. So yes, but this values, after the results, we have conclude that these values are under the safe zone, and they will not fail if we construct the tank according to the results. Next slide.
Yes, sir.
So plate stress, which I have defined. Now this is the diagram for the stress control for bottom slab for the tank 3, and here we can see, which I have told, that the edges are the having the value of max absolute higher than the other part of the slab. Next. So this is the summary for shear membrane and the binding of tank 3. So here we can see the bold, the numbers which are in bold are the maximum and the minimum value for the shear membrane and the bending moment for the different plates of the tank. Next. So this is the result of tank 4. Here we can say we can see at the this left hand plate there is somewhere the red zone which tells that there is the maximum absolute value for the side, and other parts are comparatively have low max absolute value. Next. Now this is the bottom slab of tank 4, and similarly we can see that most of the part is pink color, that is between 528 to 978 kilonewton per meter square, which is in the very safer zone. So we can design it and this will not fail. So next slide. And this is the summary for the shear membrane and bending of tank 4, which I have earlier told about, that the bold numbers tells about the maximum and minimum value of the shear membrane and the bending moment. Next. Now similarly we can also check the result of tank 5, and the procedure will be the same. The colors and their numbers are given, so we can see that at what part of the tank, at what part of the plate, what is the value of the max absolute. Next. Similarly we can check for the stress contour for bottom slab for tank 5. Next. And the summary for the tank 5, the shear membrane and the bending of tank. Next. So if we talk about the conclusion from the design part to the result, so it is showed that the corner stresses and the maximum shear and bending stresses are found to be more in the case of all tanks, which I have shown earlier, that the edges, there are comparatively more stresses than the other parts of the plate and the tanks. So here the shape of the water tanks plays a vital role in the stress distribution and overall economy. So here it means that we can have the two shape which are commonly used, that is circular and the rectangular. So we have used rectangular here because it is more economical and easy to construct. But in the case of overhead tank, we use the circular tanks because we need to add the wind load and the seismic load. So in case of overhead tanks, we use the circular tanks because they can decrease the effect of wind loads and the seismic load. But if in the case of underground tanks, we can use this rectangular tanks, which are more economical and easy to construct as compared to the circular tanks. Now, by using StatPro, the result obtained were very accurate, and the conventional results were there. So we can say that we can design after the result of this StatPro, we can easily design, and this will not fail in the future. So in underground tank, uplift pressure play a predominant role in design, which is caused by surrounding soil on the outside wall of tank. The shape of tank plays a predominant, which I have told you why, and the role of design overhead tank underground water tanks. So uses of StatPro in design gives accurate result for the shear force and the bending moment, and it is more convenient method than the other method because it takes the less time and gives the accurate result. Now after the result, we can have the report in our StatPro. After the design, we can have the report, which is a long PDF. So from there we can take out some useful thing, that is like the volume of the concrete and the volume of the reinforcement and many other things, which will help us further for the cost estimation of the tanks. So now we can calculate the cost estimation as per other rules and the formulas, which will be explained in detail by Shruti. So I take the lead to Shruti to explain the estimation of cost for all 5 tanks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Shruti Gautam and I'm pursuing my BTech in civil engineering from Dayalbagh Educational Institute, Agra, which is in UP. And my topic of discussion is detailed discussion on AutoCAD drawings and cost estimation. So till now we detailed discussed about the design, analysis, location of tank, and now we are going to discuss about the cost which will be invested in the construction of tank. And as we all know, the cost estimation is one of the most important steps in any project. So why we are estimating the cost? We are estimating the cost because from the cost estimation we will know that how much amount of money we are going to invest in a program, project, or in an operation. So there are two methods of estimating the cost. The first one is long wall, short wall
Actually,
method.
excuse me. Actually, keep your mic away from your mouth.
Okay, sir. Is it okay?
Yeah, you can speak now.
Okay, sir. So there are two methods of for cost estimation. The first one is long wall and short wall method, which we are using in the estimation of on the cost estimation of our tanks, and the next one is center line method. Let us now discuss shortly these two methods. The first one is long wall short wall method. This method is very easy and simple, and there are very fewer chances of mistake. In this method, long walls and short walls are worked out separately. In case of long walls, external walls running in longitudinal direction out to out, and the internal length of walls running in transverse direction end to end. And the quantity is getting by multiplying the length into the width and height. The next one is center line method. The center line method is fast method, but it needs special attention at the junctions, meeting points of partition walls. This technique is extremely easy, just methods in case of rectangular or circular, polygonal like hexagonal, octagonal, etc. Next, please. So now we are doing the cost estimation for tank 4, which is located in front of Works Department of Technical College and having the design size of 4 meter by 3 meter by 2.5 meters. So first we are calculating all the quantities of things which we are going to use in making the concrete, like cement, sand, coarse aggregate, and also for steel. So for calculating the cement, first of all we get the dry volume of concrete, which is 1.54 times the wet volume of concrete, and the wet volume of concrete is 10.66. And by multiplying these two quantities, we get 16.4164 meter cube dry volume of concrete. So now in the construction of our underground water tank, we are using the concrete of grade M30, which having a general proportion of 1:0.7:1.5. So for getting the volume of cement, we just multiply the proportion of cement into the volume of dry volume of concrete, and dividing all this quantity by the sum of all the proportions. And after doing the calculation, we get 5.0512 meter cubes of concrete. And by multiplying this amount into the density of cement, that is 1,440, we get 7,273.728 kgs. And for getting the number of bags, we just divided this quantity by 50, because one bag of cement contains 50 kgs of cement. So the number of bags of cement which we are getting is 146 bags. Similarly, for getting the quantity of cement, we just multiply the proportion of sand, that is 0.75, into the dry volume of concrete, and divide both the things by the sum of all the proportion, and the volume which we are getting for sand is 3.788 meter cube. And of course, by multiplying the density of cement, we will get the weight, and the density of sand is 1,620. And after dividing this quantity by 1,000, also we get the weight of sand in tons, that is 6.14 tons. Next, please. And now for coarse aggregate, we will first of all we'll calculate the volume of coarse aggregate. Similarly, multiplying the proportion of coarse aggregate to the dry volume of concrete and dividing it by the sum of all the proportions of grade M30. And as we know, which we are getting that the volume of coarse aggregate is 7.5768 meter cube. Now, as we know that the 60% of total volume of aggregates are 20 mm aggregates, and the rest 40 mm, 40% total volume is of 10 mm aggregates. So, for getting the amount of 20 mm aggregates, we just multiply the volume of whole coarse aggregates by 0.6, and after that we are getting the 4.74680 meter cubes of coarse of 20 mm coarse aggregate, and by multiplying it with the density which is 1560, we get the coarse and we get the coarse aggregate in 7.091 tons by dividing the value by 1000. So similarly for the 10 mm coarse aggregate, we just multiply the total volume of coarse aggregate by 0.4, and we are getting the 3.03072 meter cubes of coarse aggregate, or of 10 mm coarse aggregate, and of course we are multiplying it with the density that is 1610 kg per meter cube. We are getting the value in tons, that is 4.87 tons by dividing the value by 1000. And next is the next for getting the quantity of steel reinforcement, we are assuming that we are using 1% of steel. So for steel reinforcement, we are multiplying the dry volume of concrete by 0.01, and we are getting the 0.1067 meter cube of steel. And for getting the weight of steel aggregate, we just multiply this value by the density of the coarse aggregate, which is 7850 kg per meter cube, and after multiplying this, we are getting 837.595 kgs of steel. Now, this is all the quantitative analysis which we were done for getting the amount of cement, sand, coarse aggregate, and steel for our water tanks. Now we are calculating the rate, that what will be the rate which we are getting to invest in our tank. So for that, first, here you can see a table which consists a number of Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So here you can see a table which consists a number of columns. In the first column here is description, is that what will be the operation we are going to perform. The next one is number, is that in how many parts we are going to perform that operation. The next one is length, and then width, then height, the quantity, rates, and price. So the very first operation which we are going to perform is excavation. Excavation is performed in one part, is that in a single time we are doing the whole excavation. So as I told you that the internal dimension of the tank is the internal length of the tank is 4 meters. So for getting the length, we just add the thickness of tank, which is 150 mm on both sides. So we are getting the length of 4.3 meters. Similarly, for the width, we are adding the thickness of tank on the both side of width. So we are getting the thickness of width of 3.3 meters. Similarly, for the height, we are adding the thickness and the freeboard, which we are getting 150 mm on both the sides. So we are getting the height of 2.8 meters. So by multiplying the length, width, and height, we are just getting the quantity, that how much quantity of soil we will have to excavate from the water tank, that is 39.372 meter cube. Now for the PCC, as we all know that before laying the RCC foundation, we just have to apply a PCC layer, that is plain cement concrete layer, which we are using the ratio of 1:4:8, and the PCC layer is doing in one time. So the number is 1, and the length and width is similar as the excavation. But the height of but the thickness of PCC layer which we are going to consider is 150 mm. So by multiplying all the quantities, we are getting the quantity is 2.1285 meter cube, and the rate for PCC is 4,845 per meter cube. So by multiplying the quantity and rate, we just getting the rupees that how much cost we are going to spend in the PCC in making the PCC layer, that is 10,313. Now for RCC, as I told you that we are going to use the concrete of grade M30, and the proportion is 1:0.75:1.5. Now we are going to do the RCC in the four parts. The first one is floor, the second one is long wall, third one is short wall, and the last one is slab. So floor is going to be done in one chance. So the number is 1, and the length and width is similar to the excavation, but the thickness of RCC floor is 0.15 meters. So by multiplying all these quantity, we get the quantity as 2.1285 meter cube. For long walls, now we are dividing the walls into two parts: the upper long wall and the lower long wall. And for the length is similar as for the excavation, and the thickness for the long wall is 0.15 mm, as the thickness of RCC is 0.15 meters, and the height is similar as the internal height of the tank, that is 2.5 meters. So by multiplying all these three, we are just getting the quantity as 3.225 meter cube. For short wall, similarly we are doing in the short wall by dividing the short wall into two parts: the right hand short wall and the left hand short wall. And the length is for the short wall, the length is 3 meters, and we are adding the thickness on both the sides, that is 0.15 meters. So we are getting 3.3 meters. The width is 0.1. The width is 0.15 meters, and the height is similar as the internal height of the tank, 2.5 meters. So we are getting the quantity is 2.475 meter cube by multiplying all these three. And for the slab, we have considered the slab. We are going to cast the slab in a one chance. So for the length of the slab, we just add the internal length of slab with the thickness on both the sides, that is 0.15, and we are going to add the extended portion of slab, that is 0.3 meters on both the sides. So after adding all these things, we are getting the length of slab is 4.9 meters. Similarly, for the width, we add the internal width of the tank by internal tank with the we're just adding the internal width of the tank with the thickness on both the sides, that is 0.15, and plus the 0.3 meter of extended portion on both the sides. And the height is the thickness of the slab is of course 0.15 meters. So after multiplying this, we are getting the quantity as 2.866 meter cube. So by adding all the four things in RCC, that is floor, long wall, short wall, and slab, we are getting the total RCC as 10.69 meter cube. Now there will be a manhole on the top of the floor, top of the tank, and there is only one manhole, so the number is 1, and the amount of volume which we are going to deduct from the total RCC is getting by the formula pi r square h, that is pi into 0.25 square into 0.15, as the dia of the manhole is 5.5 meters. So after doing this, we are getting the volume of manhole is 0.029 meter cube, and now we are going to, for getting the net RCC, we are going to deduct the manhole from the total RCC, that is 10.67 meter cube. Now we are using the Ambuja cement of grade 53, that is OPC cement, and as in the previous calculation, we get the 146 bags of total cement. So, and the market rate of per bag for cement is 230 rupees per 230 rupees for per bag. So after multiplying this, we are getting the amount of 33,580 for sand. We are getting the 6.14 tons of sand, and the market price is 525 rupees per ton. So after multiplying both these things, we are getting the price is 3,224. For 20 aggregate, we get the quantity of 7.091 tons, and the price is 650 rupees per ton. So by multiplying both these things, we are getting the rate of 4,609 rupees. And for 10 aggregate, the quantity is 4.87 tons, and the rate is 350 rupees per ton. So by multiplying both these things, we are getting the 6,318 rupees. And for the steel, we are getting the quantity as 837.281 kg, and the price is 2,200 rupees per kg. So by multiplying both these things, we are getting the value as 18,428. So the total material cost we are getting for our tank 4 is 76,472. Now for the labor cost, we are using 3 labors. That is one.
Go to the
first
next
one.
slide. I can read it. I can already read it.
Sorry, sir.
You can go to the next slide. I can already read it.
Okay, sir. So by adding all the material cost, labor cost, and total shuttering work and other, we are getting the total amount of our tank 4 is 83,622. Next slide, please. And now this is the estimated cost of all the water tanks. So for tank 1, we are getting the cost of 2,01,942. For tank 2, we are getting the cost of 2,13,894. For tank 3, we are getting the cost of 6,36,166. For tank 4, we are getting the estimated cost of 83,622. For tank 5, the cost is 2,13,894 rupees. Next, please. Here is the design drawing of tank first. As you can see, the very first diagram where the elevation and soil pressure is written. This is the diagram which represents the pressure of soil on water tank when the tank is empty and only the pressure of soil is there. And the next diagram shows you the pressure of water on the tank when tank is filled with water. And the diagram on the right hand side corner, you can see that it is the projection at the bottom of the tank. The diagram below that the projection of tank is just a normal figure which gives an idea about the length, width, height and thickness of the floor. The diagram below that is showing the pressure acting at the bottom of tank, and the diagrams which is very small. The first one is representing the reinforcement and cover detail of tank, and the next one is showing the 2 zones of reinforcement, in which 2 zones the reinforcement is. Next slide, please. And here you can see the plan at 1.5 meter depth. And for that we are doing the 2 sections. The first one is section at axis in horizontal direction, and another section is in the vertical direction, that is section at YY. And similarly, here is the design drawing of tank 2, which is same as the tank 1. The meaning is same as the tank 1. The values are of course different. Next one. And similarly, here is the design drawing of tank 3. The meaning is similar as the design drawing of tank first. And here is the design drawing of tank 4. And similarly, the next one is the next slide. Next one is the design drawing of tank 5. So this is the total design drawing of all the tanks. And now from here, Gaurav will take the lead to conclude our presentation.
Okay, so hello again everyone. So I am talking about the conclusion of our major project. Okay, so let me first talk about the total cost of the design tanks. So the total cost of all the design tanks is coming out to be 13,49,518. Now you might be thinking that this amount is very much. So you might be shocked that this much amount we have to invest it. But before making any conclusion, let me take you to the next slide and will tell you something very interesting. Okay, so the total capacity of all the design tanks is coming out to be 363 cubic meters or 363,000 liters. See, the cost of a 50,000 liters water tank made by Syntex company. So Syntex is a company basically which is manufacturing the underground water tanks. So Syntex company made a 50,000 liters water tank which costs around 7.2 lakh rupees. That means if we think to buy Syntex water tanks for the same capacity as we have designed, that is 363,000 liters capacity, it would cost around 552.27 lakh rupees. That means our design tanks are proved to be much economical. So that's a great thing, and this outcome is very much interesting of our project. Okay, so this is one of the advantage of our project. Let me tell you some other advantages of our project. So the other advantages of our study are it provides an easy and efficient way of conservation of monsoon water and making it applicable for our institution. Second advantages, our study would be very beneficial to the locations of severe water scarcity. And third is we hope that the wide acceptability and accept advancement of our study would yield a definite solution to the water crisis. Okay, so at last, we must say that our project has given us deep understanding of our core subjects like geotechnical engineering, hydrology, surveying, reinforced cement concrete, and structural analysis. Now, not only these core subjects, but we can also understand a lot about some softwares like AutoCAD, Surfer 15, and STED Pro. So that's all about our major project, and thank you so much for listening. Finished, sir.
Okay.